Hi everyone. This week we're doing our introduction to biology, and the best place to start is to talk about what we call levels of organization. So when we talk in biology, we're going to be using these five main words to describe what level we're talking about. Think of it as a building. Each level has a different size. So we'll be talking about cells, tissues, organs, systems, and organisms. And we're just going to go through each one of those one at a time over the next few weeks. So the first level we start at, and you see on this chart here, cells, is the smallest level. It's called the cell. Now, the cell is the basic level of organization for all living things. In fact, that's what makes you alive, the fact that you have cells. In unicellular or single cell organisms, a single cell does everything. So if you think of something like a bacteria, or if you think of an amoeba, which maybe you've heard of before, that one cell is able to do everything that organism needs for life. And in fact, one cell is one organism. In multicellular organisms, many cells, like you and I, we have many cells. Individual cells work together, but each cell performs a single role, and they work together to make the full organism. And in fact, when we look at us, we have trillions and trillions of cells, all working together to be you. So that's what you need to remember about the cell. It's the basic unit. It can make up an organism on its own, or you need hundreds and thousands and millions and billions and trillions of them to make up organisms depending on their size. So let's just go over the cell. It's the basic unit, as we said. They may serve functions within the organism. So think of stuff like blood cells and nerve cells and bone cells. Those are individual cells, and they do different things. Like the blood cells carries oxygen around, the nerve cells lets you sense and control movement, and bone cells give you that nice structure to your body. They're all cells, but they do completely different things. Tissues. That's when we have a bunch of different cells that have similar structure and function that work together. In humans, we have four basic types of tissue. We have connective tissue. So think of stuff like tendons and ligaments, bone. You have epithelial, so skin cells. Now, epithelial, they're not just your skin. I mean, you have epithelial cells on organs and stuff too, which we'll get into in later talks. And then you have muscles and nerves. Now, these tissues layer together to create organs. So made up of tissues that work together to perform a specific activity. So for example, the heart, it pumps blood. Well, this heart is going to have like epithelial cells to kind of form its barrier. It's going to have connective tissue to hold all the muscles and epithelials together. It's going to have nerves cells to tell it how to move around. It's going to have blood, obviously, because that's what it moves. So the heart is made up of multiple types of tissue, and then so we have other organs like the lungs and the brain. Now, the thing about organs, they perform a specific activity for the body. And then you have organ systems, where you have organs working together. So two or more organs, they work together to perform an even larger function for the body. So in the human body, we have 11 organ systems. So we're going to end up studying 3 of these. But if you even think of like the immune system right here, think about COVID, we're talking about immune system. That immune system involves a bunch of different organs that work together to protect your body from viruses and bacteria. You think of the respiratory, you have a whole system, think of like your lungs and your trachea and your mouth and diaphragm and all these different organs that go together to allow you to breathe. And then when you have enough systems that go together, you end up creating what we call an organism. So organ systems work together so they can create all or carry out all body functions, usually made up of organ systems, but can be a single cell, such as bacteria or amoeba. So here's some examples. Bacteria, amoebas, mushrooms, sunflowers, humans. These are all organisms, and they all have different levels of organization attached to them. So in a multicellular organism, we have many cells, and individual cells work together for the good of the organism. In unicellular organisms, you have one cell, single cell, and it performs all the functions. So if you look at this amoeba here, it has like a little gap in its cell membrane that works as a mouth. It has a little stomach, which is the vacuole. You think of the nucleus as being the brain. And it's got little cilia, little kind of spikes that go off of the membrane that it can wiggle around and use as to move. And so really, a single cell can also be a full organism as well. This is a paramecium. They're actually hunter-killers. They like to hunt down and eat other little microscopic organisms. And most importantly is they function independently. They work on their own. So this little guy here is its own little organism. And that's all we have for this. Hopefully this is just an overview of the biology unit. You don't really need to take notes or copy down this info because we're going to go more into depth in the next presentations.